We just had the biggest snowstorm I've ever seen in my life. My car's completely submerged in snow. Anyway, as for the mystery, Bitcoin is the biggest digital currency in the world, with you being able to use it to buy anything from cars to food to electronic devices and basically anything else you could think of. The thing that you may not know about this new currency is who exactly created it, and the answer to that question is a lot harder to answer than many may think. Since its inception in 2008, Bitcoin has become the most popular form of virtual currency in the world. It was first introduced to the Metz-Dowd cryptography mailing list, before being released as an open source program in 2009. So you may be asking the basic question, what's the point of Bitcoin? Well, it's built off the concept of having your computer solve extremely difficult math equations to mine for money. This mining is usually done by computers with powerful graphics cards. The solution to these problems are the Bitcoins, which are represented by long hashes of random numbers and letters. It's worth noting that there is a cap of around 21 million Bitcoins to prevent oversupply and the devaluation of the currency. What many like about Bitcoin is that it was created with the intention of avoiding government or corporate involvement. Instead of a third party such as PayPal managing the money, it allows any two parties to simply transact directly. Because of this, when its inventor was still active on the project, he kept mostly to himself, stating that his identity served no value to the public. This has helped Bitcoin avoid scrutiny from the media, as they weren't able to confuse the creation and its creator. Eventually, in 2010, the founder of Bitcoin retired from the project without anyone knowing much about him or possibly her. So why all the secrecy? Well, according to some sources, back in the early days, it was not clear if creating Bitcoin was legal, so the creator went to great lengths to stay anonymous. The creator of this currency probably would have never been questioned if it stayed a small niche invention, but with Bitcoin's recent value skyrocketing, even surpassing an ounce of gold in March, it became much more important. To understand just how much this cryptocurrency has risen in value, if you had bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin in early 2012 and held on to it until now, it would currently be worth $250,000. The question of who the creator really is has become more and more important to the community. If he ever was to become active again and use the chunks of Bitcoin he had saved since the beginning, his actions could leave a huge impact on the currency. So inevitably, this has caused many to speculate exactly who the creator is and attempt to track him down. To start off, let's go over the only pieces of information the inventor of Bitcoin has ever disclosed about himself. According to his P2P Foundation profile, he is supposedly a 41-year-old Japanese man named Satoshi Nakamoto. But even that has been highly disputed. For one, despite claiming to be Japanese, the creator had an almost perfect grasp on English, occasionally even slipping and using British terminology. The second reason people are suspicious of him being Japanese is that the original client was written in English, and Satoshi had to hire third parties to translate the program into Japanese, which doesn't make sense if he had been living in Japan. Finally, when looking at a graph someone had made for when Satoshi was active on the Bitcoin forums, you'll notice that the times don't really make sense for someone living in Japan. Unless he had a really strange sleep schedule, it would make more sense if he was living somewhere in America. A writer from Fast Company even speculated that Satoshi Nakamoto's name could have a deeper meaning. Satoshi translates into clear thinking. Naka means inside, while Moto is defined as the foundation. So if we put the entire name together, we have clear thinking inside the foundation. So with the now established clues of Satoshi not actually being Japanese and living in the Americas, let's get into the three people that have been suspected to be the true creator, or possibly creators, of Bitcoin. In March of 2014, Newsweek magazine published an article in which journalist Lee Goodman concluded that the creator of Bitcoin was currently residing in California, under the name Dorian Nakamoto. Their supposed evidence was circumstantial at best and included the fact that Dorian's birth name was Satoshi. The article says that Nakamoto was laid off twice in the early 1990s and turned libertarian according to his daughter, and encouraged her to start her own business and not be under the government's thumb. The author also wrote about how because they couldn't reach Dorian directly, instead they found and pestered his family members for information about his personal life. She also took images of his household and included this quote from Dorian: "I am no longer involved in that and cannot discuss it. It's been turned over to other people. They are in charge of it now. I no longer have any connection." This article led to reporters from various news sites to camp out near Dorian's house in hopes of scoring an interview. Dorian denied any connection to Bitcoin and stated that he had simply misconstrued what the reporter had asked. In a shocking turn of events, the actual Satoshi Nakamoto account on the P2P forums posted a message in response to the recent events stating, "I am not Dorian Nakamoto." The most recent suspect to be Satoshi Nakamoto is former academic Craig Stephen Wright, described by Wired as an unknown Australian genius. The first lead was when a source who chose to remain anonymous began leaking documents to a dark web analyst named Gwern Branwyn. All of them were regarding Craig Wright. Gwern then forwarded these documents to Wired. After some investigation, they found Wright's blog and uncovered many posts linking Craig to Satoshi. The first of these was a post from August of 2008, where he states that he intended to release a cryptocurrency paper featuring aspects taken from triple entry accounting. This predates the original Bitcoin paper published to the mailing list. Another post dated January 10, 2009 shows Wright stating that the beta of Bitcoin would be live tomorrow. Wired also leaked several supposed conversations and emails that showed Wright planning to produce the original Bitcoin document. "We received a cache of leaked emails, transcripts, and forms that corroborate the link. There's a leaked message from Wright to his lawyer date June 2008 in which Wright imagines a P2P distributed ledger, an apparent reference to Bitcoin's public record of transcripts known as the blockchain, long before it was publicly released. A liquidation report was found on the corporate advisory firm McGrath Nicole's website, in which it revealed that Wright had backed his own attempt at creating a Bitcoin-based bank with 23 million in Bitcoin. At the time, this was over 1.5% of all existing Bitcoins. Those same Bitcoins are now worth over $60 million. And it's honestly kind of surprising that a person that no one had ever heard of held such a stake in the cryptocurrency. Many had doubt on the idea of Craig being Satoshi due to the possibility of the leak being faked, and the post seeming to have been edited to give Craig history with the project. Even then, Wired admitted that if this was all just an elaborate hoax, it would be as ambitious as Bitcoin itself. Even with all that being said, there's little doubt that Mr. Wright has made a lot of money off Bitcoin. Later that month, Wired released a follow-up article in which they found new information that poked more holes into the theory. The 3 blog posts that apparently referenced Bitcoin had been edited, as archival versions from before 2013 showed no mention of the currency. Also, one of those now supposed PhDs Craig listed on his now deleted LinkedIn page was refuted by the university he allegedly received it from. Things changed on May 2nd of 2016 though, when Craig stated on his blog that he was finally willing to publicly admit that he was Satoshi, which was met with much controversy as Craig had already failed to release evidence up to that point in time. The community remained skeptical, and 2 days later, Craig wrote on his blog that he would finally release a series of pieces to lay the foundation of his extraordinary claim, before deleting all the blog posts and replacing them with one titled, "I'm sorry. I believe that I could put the years of anonymity and hiding behind me, but as the events of this week unfolded and I prepared to publish the proof of access to the earliest keys, I broke. I do not have the courage. I cannot." Because Craig refused to submit any verifiable proof to the public, most of the community has settled in labeling him a liar. The official Bitcoin Core Twitter handle has been quoted as stating that there is currently no publicly available cryptographic proof that anyone in particular is Bitcoin's creator, which leads to the third possibility. The third and final theory we'll be covering today is that Nakamoto is just some sort of collective pseudonym for a team of people. Dan Kaminsky, a leading security expert and researcher who is familiar with Bitcoin's code, has infamously stated that either there's a team of people who worked on this or this guy is a genius. A writer for The New Yorker who attempted to track down Satoshi's identity hired a computer security researcher who found that it was nearly impossible. On October 11th of 2011, Adam Pennenberg of FastCompany.com published an article containing his own investigative research into unmasking who Satoshi was. He took excerpts from Satoshi's original Bitcoin paper and ran them through Google. his reasoning being that people tended to repeat themselves. He thought that if he simply plugged in unique phrases and quotes, he'd be able to get only a handful of pages to sift through. His most successful attempt was the term computationally impractical to reverse, which had only 26 results. While a majority of them were simply related to bitcoins or the paper, one of the last results was actually a patent application. 3 men had jointly filed 3 days before the official Bitcoin website had been registered. One of the 3 men who filed the patent denied relation, and the author admitted that this was not meant to be a serious accusation, but an example of how circumstantial evidence did not equal the truth. All that can be said for certain is while we're searching down the real creator of Bitcoin, its value just keeps on increasing. With this case still being open, I hope that anybody that watched this video will find it helpful in their search. I just want to make it clear that it's not wise to go on a witch hunt, and circumstantial evidence does not equal the truth. So hopefully one day, if we keep on searching, we'll get to the bottom of this mystery. And until next time, thank you for watching. Did that come from my front door?